Predator Badlands, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
Here, you're not the predator. You're the prey. 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 Prey.
Critics are saying it's epic, stunning, and breathtaking.
Many have come here. None have survived.
Predator Badlands, now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+, rated PG-13.
The 2026 minor league baseball season is upon us, and with that, a brand new episode of the Show Before the Show podcast arrives to you, in which we are going to actually talk all of the things going on throughout the kickoff to the 2026 minor league baseball season. Tyler Vaughn, Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill. Last week, guys, I got to see your smiling faces, and we did a fun episode in person, but we, of course, didn't get to talk about anything like actually really going on in the immediate sense. And then, like, as soon as we hung up, we had prospect news and we had promo news and we had everything else. So we're here to clean it all up, as they say in the biz. What's going on with you dudes? How are you?
We're good. We're good. Yeah. Thanks to everybody for their feedback and their joy of the Show Before the Show opening day draft that we held last week. Some people had some constructive criticism on some of our picks in a good way. In a good way, that means you listen. That means you care, which is good. Some people had their say on who actually won the draft. Not enough people said I won, which, if maybe get in those comments a little faster if you think I won. I have the silent majority. Let's put it that way. Maybe. But no, it was very fun to do that episode. It's always fun to start the season that way. But like you said, Tyler, now that the season has actually truly started with all 4 full season levels, and every league and all of the 120 teams playing baseball. Now, that means news is happening every night. It feels like there's something happening at a ballpark somewhere across the country or in Vancouver, Canada. It's throwing us right back into the podcast schedule of like, oh, something happened on Monday that we have to talk about on Friday, because that's how we work as a weekly podcast. But I'm excited to get into it this week, and I'm excited to have stuff to talk about. No more previewing. It's actually reviewing and talking about what's ongoing on the field. And I mean, I feel like it's been a busy week for you, just trying to keep up with everything. And now that we've turned the page into season mode.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm getting my road trip schedules together. There's obviously stuff happening every day. It's a big time of year. And despite all that, Tyler started this by saying the season is upon us, and I went into my own mental zone out and just started thinking about the word eponymous and how much I like that word, because upon us reminded me of eponymous. Like, you use it most in the context of like someone who puts out a debut album and the name of the album is the same.
Is the name of the band or the artist, yeah.
So Weird Al's 1983 eponymous debut.
Eponymous
That's
debut.
how I look at it. Opening day is eponymous, but it's not. It's eponymous. And you guys mentioned the draft we did last week. We did get an email from Paul Caputo, longtime friend of the show, minor league logo guy. He writes for Chris Creamer's
sportslogos.net.
Does a baseball and design podcast, Ice Cream Helmet Collector. But he sent us his own picks if he had been part of this draft. So real quick, he would have gone with Portland, Maine as his minor league baseball city, currying
Good
favor
pick
with Josh Jackson.
Yep.
Name and logo, Daytona Tortugas. The alternate identity is the Reading Fightin' Phils, the latest breakfast theme identity they've unveiled for this year's morning game, the iced coffees. And he notes that the anthropomorphic coffee is spiking his bat like Reese Hoskins, which, I don't even think I'd noticed, but that's a cool little Phillies connection. Reese going yard in, what was that, the 2022 playoffs. When was that? It all blurs together. Division series, NLCS, whatever. Ballpark, and this is the one I didn't push back because we're all allowed our own opinions, but ballpark, you went with the Oklahoma City Comets playing at, I always call it Bricktown, but Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark, I think is the name now. And but that is a really nice ballpark, and a lot of bricks there and a lot of baseball history surrounding the ballpark. And for a prospect, he chose Andrew Painter, who Sam might not be a prospect for long, but
Yeah, I suppose I should have pushed back against that because we did make the stipulation that it was guys who should be in the minor leagues. And Andrew Painter has opened the year in the majors. Maybe we didn't make that clear enough on the show. That might have been a thing we cleared up with ourselves.
So it's not your fault, Paul. It's ours.
Yeah,
it's ours. Yeah, I mean,
blame us.
You got somebody who has made the bigs and has had some promising starts. But yeah.
So thanks, Paul, for emailing. And that was last week's episode. So we've got new, fresh stuff to get into.
Great stuff from Paul. I just want to quote a post from one of our really good pals in the minor league baseball world, Jesse Goldberg Strassler, the radio voice, longtime legendary radio voice of the Lansing Lugnuts, who posted the graphic of all of our picks and tagged me and said, "You routed these cool people. This is Rangers 30 O's 3." If Jesse Goldberg Strassler says it, I don't make the rules. That guy is right 100% of the time. So, sorry.
But did he say cool people? I pushed back because all I saw was you routed these people. And
he did say cool people, which that's the only thing I'd push back on.
Oh.
Oh, no, sure. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought it just said these people because I pushed back. Like, well, some of these people would disagree. But no one looked at my picks and was like, I'm Team Ben. But I'm used to that. I'm used to being the outlier, the contrarian, the lone voice in the wilderness, the Lyndon LaRouche of this podcast.
We are excited to have you all along on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. You can get in touch with us. You can give us your draft of all of the things that you would pick for a minor league baseball dream franchise, your ballpark, your city, your team name, your alternate identity, your top prospect, and get in touch with us about anything else you got. Podcast at MILB.com. And with that, it is time to dive into our first in-season edition of Ben's Biz Banter, presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. And Ben, we already have a story up on the site about some of the best April promos here in 2026. April's always a little weird promo-wise in minor league baseball. Kids are still in school. The weather might not be great for people to be coming out. So you're not breaking out your big promo guns really until like June, July, August. But that does not mean that we are devoid of really great promos. What's standing out to you in the season's first month?
Yeah, we're never devoid. I wrote a story on 11 promos to look forward to in all of 2026 and then followed it up with just an April-specific edition. What do we got here? We got the debut of the Palm Beach Frozen Iguanas, the new alternate identity of the Palm Beach Cardinals. They will be playing they did that for the first time on April 4th and then did it again on April 11th. And they are actually going to be playing as the Palm Beach Frozen Iguanas when they take on the Jupiter Hammerheads, not at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium where both of those teams play, but at Vero Beach's Holman Stadium on April 15th. For the annual Jackie Robinson celebration game. They hold that game in Vero Beach at Holman Stadium because that ballpark, which was last home to minor league baseball in the form of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, the last team to ever be named the Devil Rays in all of professional baseball, for those who like weird facts. But that ballpark is on the grounds of what used to be Dodger Town, the Los Angeles Dodgers spring training complex started by Branch Rickey in 1948. And now it's named after Jackie Robinson, and they still play in the Florida State League a game every April 15th at Vero Beach to celebrate Jackie Robinson. And that game this year will be the Palm Beach Frozen Iguanas and the Jupiter Hammerheads, a rare case where both those teams are playing, who share the same ballpark, playing at a different second ballpark. Anyway, I'll try not to get so hung up on all these like side facts and random bits of information as I go down here. One I really like a lot, the Visalia Rawhide have been doing this for a lot of years. We'll have to remember to look into this one after it happens. I think it'd be a good story. They have been doing this long-running Belle of the Ballpark promotion in Visalia, and it is a beauty pageant for women age 65 and older. And they do runway walks and yo mama jokes. There's like one of the categories and all sorts of stuff. But
that seems a little contrary to the like you're gonna be the most beautiful one here, but also yo mama's so fat.
Exactly. It's a partnership with a local hospice, American Quality of Life Hospice, and I think it's themed around paying attention to older people and giving them their due at the ballpark and doing it in a fun and irreverent way. So that's Belle of the Ballpark in Visalia on April 29th. We've mentioned in previous editions of this podcast. Oops, I went to the wrong story on my. I was going over my. Those are both April promos I mentioned, but I went to the wrong story on my computer, and I was looking at my promos to look for in 2026 writ large story. But we also have Sam. You made a brief mention of Vancouver earlier. The Vancouver Canadians, for every Tuesday home game, are wearing jerseys that say "The Nat" in celebration of their ballpark, Nat Bailey Stadium, turning 75 this year. And on a lot of those Tuesday games, they'll have promos related to the Nat, including a stadium replica and I think a commemorative pin or of some kind, that kind of thing. We've got the Bowling Green Bootleggers debuting and playing every single Thursday game throughout the season. We've mentioned in the past that this might be the most utilized alternate identity of minor league baseball history. Bowling Green started playing as the Bootleggers in 2016 and has done it every season since, every Thursday home game. So they played hundreds of games as the Bowling Green Bootleggers. They've got a new look this year. Similarly, in terms of an alternate identity that's going to be every week, Reno Silver Sox. The Reno Aces will play as the Silver Sox. That's the only California League team to ever play outside the state of California. They debuted in 1947 and played in various iterations through 1992. And if you've never seen these Reno Silver Sox uniforms, and especially the hats featuring a old grizzled prospector riding a donkey or a burro, I don't know the difference between a donkey and a burro, with a pickaxe on the donkey. It's a great minor league logo there. And I think it's really cool that the Reno Aces do that. And we got a divorce party in Hartford.
This one's amazing.
Single Again in the City. And the Yard Goats are having a party for people who are divorced, hosted by two local morning radio DJs and sponsored by a law firm that specializes in divorce. And it'll feature icebreakers at the ballpark, a chance to meet someone new. And as I write in the story, just think, you may one day be able to tell people you met your soulmate after getting divorced. You met your real soulmate on your next attempt at a AA ballpark. It could happen. I'm sure there's people out there who found love. I mean, I know I've written about it. I'm forgetting names right now, but where a better place to meet your soulmate than at a downtown divorce party in Hartford. This is probably my favorite, taking place this month. Altoona Curve, April 15th, in Penny We Trusted. You know, the penny was discontinued a couple months back, ending a 232-year run for the United States' oldest firm of currency. So the Altoona Curve on April 15th are giving commemorative pennies to people entering the ballpark. They have bleacher tickets available for 1 penny, and there will be also concession offers and add-ons that recognize the 1 cent wonder. So we got that as well. Augusta Green Jackets playing as the Azaleas. You know, it's springtime. The Masters tournament will have just happened, and then they're
not to be confused with the team we just talked about, the Visalias.
Yeah, exactly. We have the
Visalia
Rawhide and the Augusta Azaleas, and on it goes. I don't have this article up on here. Yeah, Wichita Wind Surge playing as the Chili Buns. They're giving away Wichita Chili Bun boxer shorts on April 18th, and the day before that, they'll have Joey Chestnut in the ballpark. Setting, I'm sure, some sort of new for eating buns, which of course is a cinnamon bun on top of a bowl of chili. Similarly with food, we don't have Joey Chestnut at the ballpark, but Stockton Port's doing their annual asparagus night, celebrating Stockton's celebrated status, or at least one-time status, as the asparagus capital of the world. And we've got the Biloxi Shuckers playing as the Mudbugs, and that is a crawfish-related alternate identity, and that debuts on April 25th, right after Biloxi hosts its annual Crawfish Music Festival, headlined by Bush one night and Buckcherry the other night. So if you want to suck on some crustacean heads while watching Bush, go to Biloxi.
Who has not had that dream in life?
Yeah.
Like Sam and Ben and I were hanging out in Biloxi, and we're crushing crawfish and listening to Kryptonite by Bush. Was that? No. Was that? No. Was Kryptonite? That was Three Doors.
Breathe in, breathe out is the one I think of. Yeah.
Okay. We have to pivot from one overview piece about this 2026 kickoff to the minor league baseball season to two things that are specific. And we're going to hone in first in Spartanburg, South Carolina. on a promo night called Waggy Wednesday, which ordinarily welcomes a lot of dogs. This week welcomed a different type of pet to the ballpark. This is a whole new world in minor league baseball, and this blew up pretty quickly. Ben, tell us about who the Hub City Spartanburgers welcomed in this week.
Yeah, well, Sam was right on this one, actually. The night it happened, he was all over a Blue Sky. I call Sam the king of Blue Sky, so follow him on Blue Sky. But yeah, this is not the first team to have like a bring any animal to the ballpark promotion. I know St. Paul has done in the past, although I'm not sure what exotic animals they've gotten. But a woman in Spartanburg brought on Waggy Wednesday, brought a kangaroo to the ballpark, had it strapped to her chest. And on one hand, that's just like incredible. It's minor league baseball. Bring your animal to the ballpark, and a woman brought a kangaroo. It perhaps opens up larger issues about kangaroo ownership in America. I don't know the specifics of it. I don't really know if people should be raising kangaroos in America, but I'm not here to judge. I'm here to just say a woman brought a kangaroo, a 10-month-old named Roxy, to the Spartanburgers game on Wednesday night, just 2 nights ago. And yeah, I mean, that's minor league baseball for you. And I got to say, I'm not too surprised it happened in Spartanburg. Having visited there last year, it just seems like the team that cultivates a quote unquote wacky energy. And it just seems like things off the beaten path are more likely to happen there. And I support Spartanburgers and their effort to bring some promotional zaniness to minor league baseball. And, you know, you lay the groundwork with that attitude, and you might end up with a kangaroo in your ballpark.
And you said wacky, but one thing I want to underline here,
Waggy.
It is Waggy Wednesday.
WAGGY.
Yes.
Exactly.
I don't think kangaroos wag those tails. They just kind of bounce around on those tails. But yeah, it is. You can wag a tail. You can come on by.
Yeah, and normally people think of like bark at the park, which is very specific. You can't bring a cat to bark in the park unless they have a very specific skill that I don't know about, and I would like to see. If your cat can bark, bring him to the ballpark.
Yeah.
But Waggy Wednesday is the way they advertised it, or the way they listed it on their site, was about bringing your quote 4-legged fam to the ballpark. And so I posted that on Blue Sky, as Ben mentioned, and a lot of people were getting up in my mentions being like, well, actually, kangaroos have 2 legs. And then some people were like, well, you could actually count the tail as a leg the way they use it. And I was just like, oh, okay, we don't need to get into the level. We're not going to get the Warriors involved for like, is a kangaroo allowed at Waggy Wednesdays? Waggy Wednesdays is meant to promote, just bring your
pets. Have fun with an animal.
Yeah. As long as it's in a safe way. And Roxy was being like swaddled.
She was so cute, Roxy.
It was very cute. She
10-month-old Roxy. Yeah, she did look very comfortable. She was, tucked into a pouch evocative little holder carrier. She also, this is just kind of thrown into the piece. She's one of, I believe, 7 kangaroos that this family owns. 8 total. And an additional 4 on the way, apparently. That's a lot of kangaroos for just like a home in South Carolina. So we'll have to get that story. But pretty great one.
What's the word for a group of kangaroos?
Yeah, what is the word for a group of kangaroos? A herd. No. A group of kangaroos is called a mob. A mob of kangaroos.
A mob. Oh, boy.
That's pretty good. A mob, a troop, or a court. But we're going with mob. They got quite a mob over there.
A court, like kangaroo court.
Oh, kangaroo court. Yeah. That's true. That's true. There is, in case you're wondering, there is video, of course, on the site. So go to the site and read the story. All right, Ben, we have a food alternate identity that we need to discuss, especially because it was not at all what I anticipated it being when I first read the name of it. We're going to touch on that, but we're going to get to that for an interview conversation. Before we get to that point, we're moving away from the promo stuff, and we are going to a broadcast booth where we've got a noble goal for a broadcast in minor league baseball, and that's a fun thing to have tackled to make people part of the broadcast element. Tell us about texting the booth.
Yeah, well, we just talked about the Biloxi Shuckers playing as the Mudbugs with their new alternate identity, but the Shuckers broadcasters, Javik Blake, one of the best voices in minor league baseball, one of the hardest working men in this industry, people in this industry. He's always going the extra mile. So we're going to do a PSA for Javik. He has set up in his booth in Biloxi a map of the United States, and he's coloring in a state every time he receives a text from that state. And so when he put this up earlier this week, he only had three states filled in, but then he put up an update and it had 7 or 8 states filled in. But listen to the Biloxi Shuckers. You can do that, through MILB.com, shuckers.info/listen-live. You can find the Biloxi Shuckers game. Listen to Javik, a great broadcaster, and text him from your state. Tell him the show before the show sent you. Text him at 601-514-0776. That number again is 601-514-0776.
I like it. We're calling on you, Wyoming, North Dakota, Hawaii, Alaska, like the more difficult states to either time zone wise or just population density wise. We're calling on you. If you're tuned in from one of those spots, text Javik during a game, get on the map, and be part of 2026 minor league baseball history. All right, Ben, before we head to our interview, we have to discuss a bizarre game a couple of nights ago, Tuesday night in Maine. Our Maine bureau chief, Josh Jackson, wrote up the story at MLB.com about this, but the New Hampshire Fisher Cats scored 10 runs on 1 hit in their game against the Portland Sea Dogs. And in the expansion era in Major League Baseball history since 1961, per the Elias Sports Bureau, no major league team has ever scored more than 4 runs without getting its first hit. This was a bizarre one between a couple of longtime Eastern League foes.
Yeah, and I think you have to preface this game, the first truly, truly weird game of the 2026 minor league baseball season. It was the Portland Sea Dogs home opener, and it was snowing well into the afternoon. The team put up a video of the grounds crew just dumping loads of snow into a dumpster type contraption before the game. And they played the game in 35-degree temperatures, and it was wild. Tyler, like you mentioned, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats scored 10 runs on just 1 hit. And not only that, they scored the first 8 runs of the game on no hits.
No hits. 8 runs on no hits.
And no errors. And that's almost impossible to do. As a cherry on top, they were playing the Portland Sea Dogs. The Sea Dogs themselves scored their first 3 runs of the game without a hit either. So you had one team score 8 runs before getting a hit, and the other one score 3 before getting a hit.
That's insane.
The New Hampshire Fisher Cats scoring 10 runs in 1 hit on 1 hit, and they went on to win the game. So that is just one of the most insane box scores you'll see, because after New Hampshire batted in the top of the second inning, the box score said 10 runs, 1 hit on no errors, and the Sea Dogs had 2 runs on no hits and no errors, and that was just after an inning and a half of play. But that half inning in which they scored the runs on no hits was walk, wild pitch, strikeout, sacrifice fly, walk, hit by pitch, wild pitch, walk, hit by pitch, wild pitch, walk, wild pitch, hit to make it 10-2 strike.
Boo! Boo! Who's getting base hits in this? Lame.
Yeah.
Big kudos to Josh for putting together that story. That, as much as minor league baseball has changed in recent years, you're never taking those games away from us. We're going to have those weird crooked numbers games from now until the sun explodes or society collapses. Those are the fun
There's just so many minor league games that are played and in weird environments. You're going to have a game in Albuquerque that's going to be 14-12 in the second inning.
Yeah, exactly.
With many, many more hits, I should say. But you're also going to get the games in Portland and in Vancouver and some of the other Northwest League spots. It is too cold to throw a strike. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to judge any pitcher who threw in that game. I'm being man, they really need to work on their control.
Right.
I bet it was tough to pitch.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that final score was not 24-22. And that thing settled down a little bit in the later innings. But what a crazy one to follow early on there. And that, it keeps things interesting early on. And that's all we ask.
That's all we ask for. All right. So that is Ben's Biz Banter presented by Circle K. But we are far from done because we are headed to the home of the Columbus Clingstones in Columbus, Georgia. Ben, do we want to preview this food item or should we just let our listeners hear about the Columbus Scrambled Dogs?
Yeah, I don't need to talk about it too much, but the scrambled dog is a hot dog dish native to Columbus, Georgia. There's a long history with it. It's kind of the southern equivalent of Rochester's garbage plate, everything all mixed together. And I just want to bring up one fact that I do mention a little bit in this interview coming up, but the Carolina Mudcats, who played their last season in 2025 before relocating to Wilson, North Carolina, they are now the Warbirds. But the Carolina Mudcats, that Mudcats name actually debuted in 1989 when the team was still in Columbus, Georgia. And when the front office at the time was debating new team names prior to the 1989 season, when they eventually hit on Mudcats, which of course became an iconic brand and kind of went viral in a pre-internet era, the runner-up when they were selecting a name was Scrambled Dogs.
No way.
In 1989.
I was going to say that is way before the craziness of minor league baseball names.
Just can you imagine in the year 1989 naming a minor league team its primary identity after a goofy regional food identity? So it's interesting to imagine what a scrambled dog would have looked like. Obviously, the team made the right decision with Mudcats because that was a huge hit branding wise, and they moved to Zebulon, North Carolina after 2 seasons. And I'm not sure if scrambled dogs would work in North Carolina, considering it was specifically referencing a Columbus, Georgia culinary specialty. So on a certain level, this is a long time in the making, nearly 40 years after the name was first bantered around as the name of a team for in minor league baseball. Now it's going to be happening. The Columbus Clingstones are playing the Scrambled Dogs. And I talked to the team's general manager, Pete Laven, one of those many names where I'm like, Laven, like lavender. I talked to Pete Laven about the Scrambled Dogs. So let's hear that now. I'm here with Pete Laven, general manager of the Columbus Clingstones, who recently announced their newest alternate identity, the Scrambled Dogs, based on a local culinary specialty in Columbus, Georgia. Pete, thanks for being here. And before we get into it, the specifics of all this, we just have to know, what is a scrambled dog?
Well, it's an amazing dish, Ben. It's not for the faint-hearted. It's a hot dog and bun submerged in chili and then cut up with the bun still on the hot dog. They say the red hot dog is the best one to use to add color to it, and then the chili kind of wells up to the edge of the bowl. Then you add shredded cheese, oyster crackers are part of it. Then you can add onions, pickles, whatever you need. Some people put hot sauce on it. It's really turned into something that people, anybody that Columbus is just from Columbus has grown up with it. So I learned pretty quickly where to get the best scrambled dog and what it is.
Yeah, and I guess the closest analogy I can think of, based on, my own travels around the minor league landscape or reference points people might have, it's kind of like a Rochester garbage plate is, I guess, something I compare it to. But why Columbus? How did this take off and become a unique thing in Columbus, Georgia, the scrambled dog?
Yeah, it's basically originated at Dinglewood Pharmacy here. It's a pharmacy that's been there since I think the 19 teens, but in the 1940s, and it's directly across from the Aflac building, actually. Anybody from Columbus knows, but Aflac's headquarters are in Columbus, and they're basically smack dab in the middle of a residential area, and it's called the Midtown area. But anyway, across the street is a pharmacy called Dinglewood Pharmacy, and you walk in there today, and you're literally, if you feel like you're walking back in time a little bit, still has the pharmacy. You can still buy normal daily needs there, but it also has the long bar with the the soda fountains, the soda jerk type fountains, and circular seats and scrambled dogs are still on the menu.
Wow, so that's a real piece of Americana right there. And then is it on other local restaurant menus as well? Like people putting their own spin on it at different restaurants in the region?
Yeah, yeah. There's other hot dog places. There's one in Uptown called Frank's Alley that has every type of hot dog, and of course they have the scrambled dog on there. But anybody, if you're going to get a real scrambled dog, you go to Dinglewood Pharmacy, and there's a plaque on the wall outside. The scrambled dogs have been in the White House. I think Jimmy Carter found it during his days. In Georgia prior to his presidency and brought it to the White House. But Dwight D. Eisenhower's had scrambled dogs stopped in Dinglewood Pharmacy. The history is really remarkable, and you walk in there and you feel it immediately.
And do you have a favorite in the area? Your go-to scrambled dog?
Yeah, I go to Dinglewood. I learned that right away. I came in prior to the 2025 season and of course had no idea what it was. And I think it was somebody from Synovus. One of our friends is like, "Okay, what are you doing tomorrow?" Like, I'm free. He's like, "We're going to Dinglewood. We're going to get you a scrambled dog soon, so you know what you're talking about around here."
Yeah, I guess if you're going to work and live in this area, you need to know your your scrambled dog.
Scrambled dog.
Um, yeah, so last year obviously was the first year of the Columbus Clingstones. You guys are, full speed ahead on getting that entirely new brand off the ground. Probably didn't want to muddy the waters by also introducing alternate identities. But how long has this been in the works, a Scrambled Dogs alternate identity?
I think, well, definitely prior to the 2025 season, so we could get the artwork started, and the response from our brand reveal, and most of the feedback afterwards was you hear scrambled dogs a lot, and so it made the decision quite easy as we look to do many TNCs over the next few years. We quickly learned scrambled dogs should be the first once we learned the history, and even after we decided, we've just been reinforced by all the people that talk about it and how it almost maybe became the name in previous years of other affiliated teams here. But it's been interesting to hear the stories, and I'm still hearing them. It's been great. But we immediately got together with Dan Simon and a local artist named Mike Jones, who interestingly owns a hot dog shop, that Frank's Alley that I mentioned earlier. But he's a he's a self-described minor league baseball logo nerd. Loves it. He was thrilled beyond belief when we gave him the assignment to work with Dan on creating this identity.
Wow, so that's pretty rare. I mean, I've talked to Dan Simon many times through the years. He's worked with teams all over minor league baseball for decades, but this was a collaboration between a established national designer like Dan Simon and then a local guy as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And then the final, primary logo you settled on, you kind of have a hot dog emerging from the scramble, looking pretty happy to be in this gigantic swamp of other ingredients. I mean, did you have a lot of different drafts of how you could bring a scrambled dog to life, or did you hit on that one right away?
Yeah, I think, as you know better than anyone, it goes along the lines of a lot of Dan's previous artwork, and Mike, plus Mike being a fan of Dan's artwork. And my favorite description of the hot dog part of the scrambled dog, I think, is it's the more unnatural shade of red, the better. So
Yeah.
I think they captured that, and I think the uniforms will be popular, and a lot of bring up a lot of discussion. They'll be thought provoking for sure, and can't wait for our players to see them as well. So it's funny how they embrace certain jerseys, certain outfits, and I think they'll find this one very unique as well.
Yeah, and you alluded to this, but back in 1989, Columbus, Georgia's team rebranded as the Columbus Mudcats. And of course, that team played 2 seasons in Columbus and then relocated to Zebulon and became the Carolina Mudcats. And that was an iconic brand and ahead of its time. But they strongly considered way back in 1989 making the name of the team the Scrambled Dogs all the way in 1989. So now we're talking the better part of 40 years later, we'll finally see a Scrambled Dogs uniform on the field. Um, does that larger history, play into what you're doing here? Just the fact that this could have been something that long ago and now is finally happening in the year 2026.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we had decided on the identity, came up with the artwork and everything, and then just this past winter meetings, I was just talking to somebody randomly, and they said, "Well, do you know back in the 1980s, the team was almost the Scramble Dogs, and it came very close." And even talking to you added to that when you told me it may have been a tie. So it just reinforces that we made the right decision with our first alternate identity. This was definitely the one to do. In our promotional calendar and so on, we haven't revealed it yet. It says alternate identity. So people genuinely, I don't think have figured it out yet, but it'll make a lot of sense to people and it'll make a lot of people happy, especially when we suit up those 3 times as the Scrambled Dogs. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. The just paying homage to the people at Dinglewood Pharmacy and Lieutenant Stevens, who created it. Created in the 40s, and he was born in 1931. So I know he worked there. So it was he was pretty young when he popularized the Scrambled Dog, and it's an homage to him. And it's funny. Its name's Lieutenant Stevens. And all along, I've been thinking, okay, that makes sense. Fort Benning, military town, but Lieutenant's his birth name.
Really?
It wasn't. Yeah, so it's I'm finding out new things every day, and it's been a blast.
Lieutenant Stevens, the inventor of the Scrambled Dog. Yeah, I definitely did not know that. And yeah, you mentioned you're going to play as the Scrambled Dogs 3 times. How far down on the road are you in terms of planning what you'll do that day on those days to make the ballpark experience stand out and really theme out this promotion?
Oh, we can't wait. It's we have a little time. The merch has not arrived yet. It's coming in late April by design, and we're gonna do a full release on that. Already taking pre-sale orders on the new era hats, but I kind of want to take on the image of the history of Columbus while we capture the history of the Scrambled Dog. It's synonymous with the history here, the people. Synovus, our naming rights partner, is very in tune with this. Aflac, one of our founding partners here, is right across the street. They're super excited. We're going to be doing a replica jersey giveaway on the final Scrambled Dogs night in September on our last series. We're going to do a replica hat giveaway on the second one. The first Scrambled Dogs night is going to be all about just coming to see the uniforms, and it's really going to, it's really going to generate a lot of excitement this week, as we announce it.
And are you going to have your own special ballpark scrambled dog at the concession stands?
Yes, Oakview Group's already working on that. We actually did a Scramble Dog last year towards the end of the year. It got good reviews, but you always hear, well, there's only one. You got to go to Dinglewood Pharmacy and ask for Miss Wanda. That's what I do. So they make it the best, and it's going to be fun throughout the year, and I'm sure we'll do it beyond this year. Banking on people depending on it and setting their calendars to it.
All right. Well, Scrambled Dogs coming soon to Columbus, Georgia, 3 nights during the 2026 season. Pete, thanks so much for taking the time and speaking with me.
Always, Ben. Good to see you.
Spring Black Friday is on at the Home Depot. Save on grills and patio sets that will be sure to bring your hosting game up a notch. Fire up your feast with help from the Home Depot and save on grills. Like the Next Grill 4-burner propane gas grill was $249, now in special buy for $199. Or give everyone the best seat in the yard with the Hampton Bay Mayfield Park 4-piece conversation set for only $399. Save on grills and patio sets with low prices guaranteed during Spring Black Friday only at the Home Depot. Now through April 22nd, while supplies last. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
All right, Sam, the question of all questions, would you eat the scrambled dog?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going for it.
As somebody who was once a college student and
Yeah.
ate something that was probably akin to the scrambled dog
Yeah.
In Boston, Massachusetts, I can't say I would say no to it. I would give it a shot.
When I
we were
first
talking
heard the
about it-
name, I thought there was going to be an egg component to it, which I would also still eat. But yeah, I'd definitely crush a scrambled dog. That sounds amazing to me. I don't know like what my toppings would be. You could throw so much on there. And there are pictures. I actually went to the website of the famous pharmacy that produced this culinary creation. And I think I'm not sure if the pickles would make it onto I'm a big pickle guy, but I'm not quite sure if I would throw the pickles on. The picture didn't make the pickles look like the most appetizing addition to it, but I'd crush this. This sounds amazing to me.
Yeah, we were talking about it here in the office at MLB, and some people who didn't know we were going to have an interview about it on the podcast this week were just like, "Oh, what is this? Like, I don't know about this." And I'm like, "Well, you should listen to the podcast first." But also, then it came up that our friend Michael Clare, would he come on the podcast and try a scrambled dog
Oh, that
on
sounds
this
amazing.
audio only format? Maybe we'll have to go on YouTube just for that episode. So
Just
maybe
all
that's
of
a
us
coming attraction. Maybe
Listening
not,
to
but,
Michael Clare just chomping down on the on the deliciousness that is a scrambled dog. I'm into it. Good with it.
he sounded game. So
Yeah, that sounds cool.
We'll figure that out. We'll get into
Sounds cool.
negotiations.
Speaking of which, Michael Clare's book, We Sacrifice Everything to Baseball, is out right now. You can order that from University of Nebraska Press. Support our good bud, Michael Clare, on his story of the Czech Republic's baseball rise to the World Baseball Classic, et cetera, et cetera. You may also follow me on social media because I'm going to give away a copy of that book next week. So you can find me on Instagram at TylerMonPXP. I'm going to do a little giveaway of Michael Clare's book because I bought one from him in person in Miami so I could get it, he could sign it for me. But then I had also pre-ordered one, so I got that one in. I'm like, well, somebody else needs this book now. So give us a follow. And if you don't end up winning that book, just go buy it yourself. From bookshop.org or directly from the University of Nebraska Press or wherever you want to get it. And maybe we'll force him to eat bizarre minor league baseball foods on the podcast as compensation. I think it sounds fun. All right, Sam, it's time to talk on-field stuff as we get deeper into this 2026 minor league baseball season. We were done 5 minutes after recording last week, and the Pirates are like, we're bringing up Connor Griffin. So Connor Griffin is now up at the major league level. He has signed a contract extension already. We have had a lot of Connor Griffin news over the last 7-8 days, Sam. I don't know how we even begin to encapsulate it, but the arrival of Connor Griffin, the extension, your biggest thoughts from this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is somebody who, I think we talked about this on the show when he was first sent down by the Pirates in spring training camp, because it felt like they were giving him a great opportunity to win the job out of spring. And, he hit some massive homers. He was showing off that plus power, certainly in certain games. And there was that 2-homer game against the Red Sox down in Fort Myers. But struggling a little bit against the fastball, maybe trying to do too much, trying to force the issue. It's easy to forget sometimes that this guy's only 19 years old. He's turning 20 in 2 weeks from when this episode is coming out. So they decided to send him down to AAA Indianapolis for what ends up being a week. He had 5 games with Indianapolis, batted .438 in that time, went 7 for 16, 3 doubles, no homers, but more walks than strikeouts. And they call him up for the home opener last Friday, April 3rd. And Ben Cherington has talked about this. I talked about this coming out of spring. I always felt that even if Connor Griffin's going to take some time to adjust offensively, and we'll mention that in a moment, how he's done so far, his defense, his speed, what happens when he makes contact makes the Pirates better. And they should absolutely be trying to compete this year, given that they are still in the Paul Skeens window. They've also brought up Bubba Chandler. They have a really good rotation headlined by perhaps the best pitcher on the planet. You have to make the most of that. You can't be rebuilding while Paul Skeens continues to move towards free agency. So if Connor Griffin is one of your 26 best players, and it sure feels like he is based off of ceiling and talent alone, he should be on the team.
He's got to be there.
I think he's got to be there. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer he wasn't there for opening day, but they call him up a week later after he builds up a little bit of confidence in Indianapolis, right? And the other part of this too is that he is still eligible to win the Pirates a prospect promotion and incentive pick. We colloquially say like, oh, they have to be up within opening day, but they actually have to get a full year of service time in order to be eligible. And that's basically being called up within 2 weeks. That's what ended up happening here. So they allow him to do a reset in Indianapolis. They call him up when they can still win a pick. And by the way, you mentioned that extension that got announced this week, 8 years, $140 million with escalators that could take it up to $150 million. That is huge, obviously, to lock down one of your best players for a long-term deal. It's huge for Connor Griffin and his family to be paid in that way. That is a lot of money. That is a ton of money. I think it's the largest contract in Pirates history for somebody who at this point has 6 major league games. It's telling of what they think Connor Griffin is. It's telling of who he thinks he is, that he can get that much money. It's certainly bigger than the deals we've seen given out to Colt Emerson and Cooper Pratt in recent weeks. And Colt Emerson's a top 10 overall prospect in his own right. Griffin leaps and bounds above that in terms of a deal here. But there is a rule under PPI that if you sign an extension before you debut, you are therefore ineligible for a PPI pick. He signed it after he debuted. So not only do the Pirates lock him down, not only do they bring him up and make themselves a better team, they also are still eligible if he wins Rookie of the Year this year or gets top 3 MVP picks in the next 3 years, I believe. They are still going to get an extra draft pick. And that is certainly possible with Connor Griffin, again, given what we know of the talent. Even if he doesn't win Rookie of the Year this year, you're not telling me he couldn't be a top 3 MVP candidate in the next 2 years. Like, that's certainly something he is capable of doing, given his 5-tool skill set. So, yeah, it's been a slow start to this point. He doubled in his first at-bat, got it out of the way early. I always tell, not that they're asking me, but I always say, if you are a rookie getting your first major league at-bat, like, they don't know what to do with you yet. They might have some advanced scouting reports, but you're going to get a pitch to hit. They want to get ahead of you quick. Drive that first pitch as best you can. And Connor Griffin getting that double to left center, showing off a little bit of that pop, a little bit of that speed, was the Connor Griffin we saw all last year, very early spurts with Indianapolis. Very exciting times for Pittsburgh. They're hanging in there pretty well so far. To start the year, obviously, Skeens had a rough 2026 debut. He's come back from that pretty well. It's exciting times to be in that area. And to have Connor Griffin now locked down, not only in the major leagues, but in the major leagues for a long time, is very, very exciting for that franchise. Now, how are they going to build around that? That's the next thing for me. Who's next up? We'll see. That there's certainly some other exciting prospects in the pipeline, but Connor Griffin arriving, that's a super, super fun debut for that team and for all of baseball.
The Pirates have such an exciting window right now too. Like, it's one thing to be in a spot where you can build, you can contend, but like, these are really, really fun talents too. And Pirates fans deserve that. I will never, and I don't think anybody will ever forget the year when the Pirates hosted the Reds for the wild card game at PNC Park, and it was everybody in the crowd was in black, and they're chanting Johnny Cueto's name, and he drops the ball in the mouth. Like, Pirates fans are such good baseball fans. That market deserves a winning team and deserves postseason baseball so much. And it's pretty exciting to have a Pirates world right now in which that is conceivable. The Pirates can go on a run could contend for a division. They, obviously have a lot to do to get to that position, but you got to put your chips in the middle of the table at some point. And it's been over a decade since the Pirates have been, a competently contending franchise. And I'm going to be really excited for Pirates fans if they can make that work here in 2026. All right, Sam, we are going to pivot from Connor Griffin and we're going to talk about some other early standouts among top prospects. James Tibbs III, George Lombard Jr., Max Clark, Noah Schultz among them. Give us some of your headliners.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a bunch of them. James Tibbs III, I think the first week and a half or so of AAA baseball just seemed like he was absolutely taking off and on a rocket. And obviously he's in his third organization now with the Dodgers, got traded to the Red Sox last year in the Rafael Devers trade from the Giants to the Red Sox. Then the Red Sox sent him to the Dodgers in the Dustin May trade. And I had a feeling at the time that was something that the Red Sox could regret. James Tibbs, a former first-round pick coming out of Florida State, seemed much more at ease with the Dodgers in terms of his overall approach. So far, as we sit here now on Friday, batting .380 with a .456 OBP, .920 slugging percentage. He's got 7 homers so far through 57 plate appearances, 12 total extra base hits. He has struck out 16 times. We're starting to see him fall off a little bit of a cliff here, see if he can rebound. But he got off to as hot a start as anybody in all of minor league baseball. You mentioned George Lombard Jr., somebody I'm keeping a close eye on this year because he is somebody who got off to a very fast start a year ago at high A. The Yankees got aggressive, promoted him to Double A Somerset. We actually got to see him last year in Somerset at the show before the show night. Really, really good defender. He's got some pop in there. It's just how are things going to come around with the bat? Is he going to be, have a 45 hit tool, a 40 hit tool, or is he somebody who could get around to even a 50? So far, it's looking great. He's 10 for 21, 2 homers, 4 doubles. One of those homers was off of position players. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves there, but he's only struck out twice. His strikeout rate right now, 8.7%. So that's really, really good for George Lombard Jr. You mentioned a few others out there, Tyler. I actually want to throw out another name, which is Blake Burke with the Milwaukee Brewers. This is now our third time, I guess, mentioning Biloxi Shuckers on this show. He has 6 homers in 6 games for the Biloxi Shuckers. Pretty good. I don't think he's going to hold up that pace necessarily, but if you ever watch Blake Burke hit, it's really, really interesting because he's got almost this, I don't want to say golf-like swing, but it's just, I don't know. It's very simple, but he's just very strong and essentially just muscles the ball. It reminds me a little bit of Adam Dunn, to give him a comp, which I think the Brewers would be exceptionally happy if they got Adam Dunn out of Blake Burke. But he hit 16 homers in 132 games last year. He's already up to 6 in his first 6 games with Biloxi.
Pretty good start.
Pretty good start. His slugging percentage begins with a 1 and not in the place you would think. It's literally 1,000 right now. So he has as many total bases as he does at bats. So that's another one to throw out there. Noah Schultz, you mentioned, heads off to a great start there in AAA Charlotte. He's somebody who's a top 100 prospect for us. If you've ever looked at him, you think he's like the second coming of Randy Johnson just because he's a massive human being and a left-hander. He's got a 1.29 ERA so far for Charlotte, 19 strikeouts in 14 innings. The bigger thing for me, only 2 walks. 2 walks in 14 innings so far for Noah Schultz. He's got a really good fastball, as you'd expect for somebody with that height, but the slider, he calls it a slider. There's been some debate amongst us. It's really much more like a sweeper. We're talking about like 20 inches of horizontal movement. It's almost like a Frisbee, the way he gets that much horizontal on it. But he likes to call it a slider. That's what we're going to do in the meantime. It's really, really good with that much movement. And if you're already intimidated, given his size, and then he's got a movement profile like that, really, really difficult to square up. The White Sox right now, obviously, in an interesting time right now, they have some good bats there bringing up through the system. Higgins Smith is another left-hander that they have at AAA Charlotte. I think they would like to get more out of the pitching. They made waves this week by sending Shane Smith down, their opening day starter, to AAA Charlotte. So they are in need of pitching. Could Noah Schultz be that guy as early as the first half? Well, if these results hold, he certainly will be. So that's one to throw out there. And then one other name I will mention real quick is Johnny Level of the San Francisco Giants system. The Giants have some really interesting infielders right now. Obviously, everybody knows about Bryce Eldridge. Josue Gonzalez has been mentioned as potentially a future number 1 overall pick because he's an incredibly slick fielding shortstop. And he's somebody who last year did really well in the Dominican Summer League. So, if you think he's going to put it together, he could be that. I'm not saying he's going to be a Connor Griffin, but the fielding level is so good and the offensive potential is so good. And then they also have brought over their top international signee this year in Luis Hernandez, who was the top international signee of anybody. He's already stateside, which is telling what they think about him. They're going to skip him over the DSL completely. And then there's Johnny Level, who opens up this year at single A and is off to an incredible start. Through 6 games, he's 14 for 27. That's a batting average of .519. He's got 2 homers and 5 doubles, throw in 3 stolen bases in there as well. We put him on the top 100, not because of this start. We already thought he was really good. I mean, he's got 55s across the board. He's got 55 hit, 55 run, 55 field, a plus arm. So if he's somebody who needs to move over to third base in deference to Josue Gonzalez down the line or Luis Hernandez, I think he could be a plus third baseman. The biggest question right now is the power. We have that as just a 50, which is plumb average. But clearly he's hitting for power so far with those 7 extra base hits. Half of his hits have gone for extra bases so far. He's slugging .926. Obviously, it's very early over there in San Jose. But 19 years old, switch hitter, just turned 19 in March. A lot of reasons to think that Johnny Level could be another really promising infield prospect for the San Francisco Giants. And I think that's an organization that could see a big arrow pointed up this year, given what happens when Gonzalez comes stateside, what happens when Hernandez already moves stateside. Level's exciting. Gavin Kylan, who was their first round pick last year, 13th overall, he's at high A with a plus hit tool. And off to a strong start himself with a 1227 OPS through 6 games. Dakota Jordan, Bo Davidson, they could even be guys part of the top 100 discussion at some point. So a lot of reasons to believe in the San Francisco Giants system. Not pushing all the chips in after just 1 week, but after all spring talking about what could these guys look like by the time the season comes, we're getting some answers here early.
All right, Sam, anything else from this first week of minor league baseball that you feel? I mean, obviously in the big leagues, it's been all the conversation about ABS and, getting acclimated to sort of that new era. We've been acclimated to that in minor league baseball at certain spots, certain levels for the last few years. But anything else right now that's standing out as early season storylines?
Yeah, the one I'll throw out here just to put down a marker on this is one race I'm going to be very interested to see how it goes. Is who will be the number 1 pitching prospect by midseason for us at MLB Pipeline, because obviously Nolan McLean's already graduated. Trey Savage is rehabbing right now from a shoulder impingement, but he will graduate pretty quickly after he gets back up to Toronto. Bubba Chandler is going to be graduating if he hasn't already. I'm not sure if he has off the top of my head, but so most of the big arms are going to have graduated. Thomas White's kind of in that next group. He's also rehabbing at single A Jupiter right now. Doesn't have major league experience. But Seth Hernandez, the stuff he has shown early on in terms of getting whiffs, both at the spring breakout game and then carrying that over to single A Bradenton. He's a high school pitcher out of last year's draft, and I know that's a demographic that people don't generally like. But the guy's pumping triple digits already and getting swings and misses on like half of his pitches. Like, it's insane what he's doing to this point. The changeup is really advanced. He's got good breaking stuff. He's pitching without fear, based on what I've seen from him so far. He's definitely going to be in that conversation. And then Ryan Sloan of the Seattle Mariners, it's always telling. We didn't really get into this last week in terms of assignments for where guys are opening the year, but it's always telling when a team gets super aggressive with a prospect, right? Like, they are telling us more with their assignment than they would tell us on the record. So Ryan Sloan, I think, only had 3 high A starts last year, and they have pushed him to Double A Arkansas to begin this season. So he's up there with Cade Anderson, who was the number 3 overall pick last year, coming out of LSU, winning a College World Series title for them, winning most outstanding player at the College World Series. They believe as much in Ryan Sloan as they do in Cade Anderson. And I think, Ryan Sloan, the biggest question for me is like, how is the stuff going to hold on or hold off? What's the word I'm looking for? how is he going to hold on to the stuff over a longer season, deeper into starts? He didn't have any starts last year above 5 innings. What happens when he goes 6? Is it going to still be as sharp? But like Logan Gilbert was joking that he has, quote, the best sweeper in the world this spring, because Ryan Sloan came in the same game Logan Gilbert did in the Cactus League. And Logan Gilbert's like, why are you doing this to me? Now everybody's comparing the two of us. Logan Gilbert's got major league experience. Ryan Sloan doesn't. So the fastball is good. He's got a cutter. He's got a really good kick change. He seems to have taken well to that. I think all the pieces are there. Like if Ryan Sloan is pitching as we believe he is capable of pitching at Double-A at his age and his experience level, he's only 20 years old. He'll be right there with Seth Hernandez for the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball. So it's you don't think of those two like combining them and like, oh, how are they going to do? Because they're at different levels, they're different age groups, whatever. But both are capable of stealing that spot come August when we do our grand update. We'll do some market corrections along the way, and maybe we'll understand that race a little bit better, come May and June and when we do those slight tweaks. But keep an eye on that one. That'll be really, really fun to watch.
All right, Sam, then it is time for our conversation on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. You've got Mitch Voit this week. Tee it up.
Yeah, this one was last Friday was opening day in Brooklyn. We were doing a show about opening days across minor league baseball. Some were on Thursday, some were on Friday. And I'm like, you know what? I would like to go to the minor league opening day that is in my backyard. So I got on the F train, headed down to Coney Island, and the most notable prospect on the Brooklyn Cyclones to begin this year is 38th overall pick from last year, Mitch Voit. Mitch Voit coming out of the University of Michigan. The Mets have had really good success in recent years, taking two-way players or former two-way players and converting them into full-time roles. Mitch Voit already did that. He both pitched and hit at Michigan, but then underwent surgery on his elbow, internal brace surgery in July 2024, so it wasn't full Tommy John. Made him into a full-time position player for his draft year. Did exceptionally well with the Wolverines. That's why the Mets took him at 38th overall. Signed for a little bit under slot, but the Mets were really enthused by the bat speed he showed after they took him. He's a plus runner. He obviously has the arm strength from when he pitched. So it was good to check in with him. Obviously, it's his first opening day. He got some time in the Florida State League last year, but like this is a true opening day. And the fact that he's coming from Ann Arbor, going to Brooklyn, a lot of other players are like, oh, it's cold up here for opening days. It's a little bit different. It was actually kind of pleasant for him. I believe it was like the low 60s, high 50s at first pitch down there at Coney Island for him. But the other thing I'll highlight here is that he did pitch, and in the Big Ten, it's still weird for me to say, is UCLA. UCLA, the big star right now is Rock.
So weird.
Those two cross paths. Mitch Voit pitched against Rock Chalowski
in conference play.
In conference play, very weird to say. Pitched all 9 innings in that game. I believe Michigan beat UCLA. So I asked him about that very briefly. You'll hear his answer here in a second. It was much more focused on himself than Rock Chalowski. Not surprising. But just wanted to throw that out there, give a little bit of extra context. But otherwise, this is my conversation with Mitch Voit from opening day in Brooklyn, New York.
You tell yourself, no one wants your college-era band tees. But on Depop, people are searching for exactly what you've got. You once paid a small fortune for them at merch stands. Now, a teenager who calls them vintage will offer that same small fortune back. Sell them easily on Depop. Just snap a few photos and we'll take care of the rest. Who knew your questionable music taste would be a money-making machine? Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
All right, so just to start, here we are on opening day. I know it's not your pro debut technically, but it is your first opening day. Just what goes through your head and going through today and preparing for a full year?
Yeah, I've been locked into the process since I got to St. Lucie after draft day.
Right.
So I'm excited to get the ball rolling on my first official year of pro baseball, and I'm really excited for what's to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're coming off your first spring training. What was the most eye-opening part of that experience?
Yeah, they get you used to the days of, you're gonna be at the field almost every day. and you're going to be going through the same routines, and how do you just get yourself 1% better every day, even when you're tired.
So what is some way you found yourself getting 1% better over the last few months?
I put a lot of intent into every single rep that I take. So really just finding what you need to work on, maybe just little tiny things, and being better at that for that day.
Yeah, and you got a little bit of time in St. Lucie last year in the FSL. What did you do, or what was your takeaway from that, and how does that affect your prep going into the offseason?
Yeah, really just the experience as a whole, right? You got to get used to it. No one knows what it's like until they're in it. And that's really what I learned. And so it was really just getting used to the days, getting yourself to figure out how am I going to get better through this, like 5 hours practice before the game plus the game. Really just, you got to figure out a lot about yourself as a player.
What have you learned about the Mets as an organization the more you've been in it?
Yeah, they can take you down as much analytical stuff as you want, but they do a great job of just simplifying kind of a plan for what you need to do yourself and allowing you to also take control of your career.
What's something that best fits you then when you're diving into the numbers or working through that plan?
I can handle a lot of information, but I like to put a lot of focus on just the straight and narrow. This is what we're going to do today. 1 or 2 bullet points. Get yourself ready.
Yeah, and one thing I've heard too is just your bat speed. That really seemed to impress the Mets last year. How have you worked on that, and where is it now compared to where you were at Michigan?
As far as measuring bat speed, we've done a lot of work in the lab. That's just a part of it, right? That's not our main focus. Really, we're just worried about completing me as an MLB hitter, like making me look as ready for the big leagues as possible.
Yeah, and I know they have traject machines and all that kind of stuff. Is that something you're playing around with and plugging in MLB pitchers when you're trying to get MLB ready?
Not necessarily. You know, we do a lot of work off the spin ball machines, and it's a big part of our hitting development.
Yeah, and then on the defensive side, I know you've seen time both at short and second base. How is it like going back and forth between those two spots?
Honestly, seamless. They gave me a lot of good work and good instruction at both areas, and so I feel comfortable going anywhere.
Yeah, and especially at shortstop. What kind of work did they give you, and what fit best for you?
I mean, I don't know if I can tell you all the secrets of,
yeah,
of
sure,
the Mets infield program, but really just I spent a lot of time over there. Obviously, the footwork from second base is different than the footwork at shortstop, so it was an easy flip for me to figure out.
Was that something that was a conversation that was happening like right out of the draft? You knew that you were going to be moving over there?
I could kind of see the pieces starting to be put together, so also they had played me at shortstop a few times in St. Lucie.
Yeah, and just talk about going into the draft. You were hitter only after playing two-way earlier in your career. How much do you feel like that helped, just having a singular focus?
Yeah, that's the first time I ever did that in my life. So, I looked at it as a blessing, and I took full advantage of it, and I'm happy with where I'm at.
Yeah, and you know, what did that unlock, you feel like, having that singular focus?
Just more space to focus on just being a position player. You know, pitching takes up a lot of head space, you know, when you lay your head on the pillow at night. So really it's just all that time and energy I put into pitching, I now get to fully commit myself as a position player, and it's made a big difference.
Do you still think as a pitcher? Like what you would throw yourself in certain counts?
Absolutely, and it helps out when you're in the box. Because you're able to almost get into the other team's mind of how you would pitch yourself in a certain scenario.
Yeah, and the Mets have a kind of theme of this in recent years. Carson Bench, obviously, Nolan McLean going the other way. Had you talked about to those guys in spring training about what it's like to go on that journey?
Well, you know, I had a lot of time to talk to Bench over the offseason, especially, you know, being in St. Lucie with each other. And not that was necessarily a focus, but, you know, just being around them and, you know, shooting it with each other. You learn things here and there.
What was the biggest takeaway? Especially last year was his first full year, and having gone through that.
Yeah, stay the same guy.
That'll do. And one thing that stood out to me from your pitching career, you got to face Rock Chalowski. I think you went 9 innings against him in 24.
Yeah, you're right. I did. Yeah.
What do you remember about that experience, especially as he's like now getting?
Well, I'll tell you what. That day, it was probably felt like 30-something degrees. It's pouring rain. That was a gritty day, and I only wanted the ball in my hands. So I don't know who who I was facing on that other team, but I was just happy to be in that kind of wild weather storm that was coming through. No, it was a fun time.
Yeah, what is it like, just the state of Big Ten baseball now? I mean, it's so crazy still talking about USC and UCLA being in that, and it going literally coast to coast. But what have you noticed about it, how it's grown the last few years?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. You know, the Big Ten is a really good conference, and it helps everybody out. Also, those boys at Michigan took a run roll win over ranked Oregon yesterday, so I'm pretty happy right now.
Yeah. How much are you still checking in with them? Are you watching every game? Or
really as much as I can. You know, if I have time to sit down and just relax, I'll check my phone. You know, maybe if the game's on, I'll go on Big Ten Plus and watch it. But, you know, I still follow all the accounts. I still check out how their days are going. And I still talk to some of the guys there.
Right. And that mentality you were talking about, wanting the ball in your hands, how are you able to carry that over when you are a position player? Not every ball is going to be hit to you. You only get that once every 9 times up.
I mean, it was always the same on both sides. I always wanted to be the guy who got the ball or was in the box. So really nothing changed.
I mean, you're leading off today. I feel like that's the perfect spot for that mentality.
Yeah.
How do you approach it when you are the leadoff guy?
Same process as I approach it every time I'm in the box. You know, every at-bat is separate in and of itself to me. And I'm just trying to be the best hitter I can be every time I go out.
And when you look forward to what 2026 could be for you, how are you going to define what success is?
You know, I take it day to day. You can look as far down as you want and play all these what-if games, but at the end of the day, how did you get better that day is how you're going to make those huge strides.
What have they told you about playing here in Brooklyn?
That right field doesn't treat you too well. Put it over the big wall.
And then just living in New York City, I mean, I feel like that's dipping your toe into that. I mean, what about that experience, maybe away from the field?
Yeah, no, I love it. You know, I love the foot traffic. I grew up in Milwaukee, and so the city life, you know, I like it, right? I like all the people.
And then just that northern attitude, I feel like, how much is that going to help you here in April and May?
Yeah, I mean, nobody likes the cold, right?
Sure.
Obviously, when it is cold, I don't like it either, but I'm used to it, so it really makes no difference to me, and I think that helps me out.
All right, great. That's all I have for you. Thanks so much. Best of luck this year.
Thank you so much.
K-pop demon hunters Saja Boy's breakfast meal and Huntrix meal have just dropped at McDonald's. They're calling this a battle for the fans. What do you say to that, Rumi?
It's not a battle. So glad the Saja Boys could take breakfast and give our meal the rest of the day.
It is an honor to share.
No, it's our honor.
It is our larger honor.
No, really. Stop.
You can really feel the respect in this battle. Pick a meal to pick a side.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Final segment of this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Before we get out of here, it is time for the latest 2026 edition of Name That Dude, the game show craze that has swept the entire baseball world, in which one of us picks a dude from baseball years past and the other two try to name that dude. This week, Sam Dykstra has the dude, and Sam, the dude floor is yours.
All right, this week's dude was a second-round pick in the 2006 June amateur draft out of the University of Miami, Florida. He was also a Florida native. He actually played his high school ball at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami.
2006, is that what you said?
2006, yes.
Okay.
Second rounder in 2006. In 2006, he began his career in the Midwest League. Played 60 games. So that's kind of amazing. That's telling of when the draft used to happen and you were able to sign quick and get in 60 games in the Midwest League for Quad Cities, then called Swing of the Quad Cities. Yeah. And I love referencing that as much as I can.
A tribute to the jazz scene
of the Quad Cities around Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah.
And the team that starred in the movie Sugar. They were still the Swing of the Quad Cities when that movie was filmed.
That's true. He did exceptionally well with the Swing of the Quad Cities, which was then a single A affiliate, low A affiliate, however you want to call it. Batted .342 with an .877 OPS in his 60 games there. 2007, 3 different levels. He was at the high A level with the Palm Beach Cardinals. He was also in the Gulf Coast League for 1 game, so that was probably a rehab assignment. And then was with Springfield Cardinals in 2007. Had 59 total games, thus explains the rehab assignment. 2008, 2 minor league teams. with Springfield again for 96 games, batted 306 with an 836 OPS for him that year. I guess I've given away that it's a hitter. And also 16 games with Memphis, batting 345 there in 64 plate appearances. So a very solid hitter for this guy. 2009, back with Memphis for 136 games, had a 732 OPS that season. Caught some time in the Venezuelan Winter League. 2010, back with Memphis for 42 games, batted 321 with an 885 OPS, and debuts for the Cardinals in 2010. He's then up with the Cardinals in 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, sometime between Memphis and Peoria, but is back with the Cardinals for 79 games. 2016 moves to the Padres, sees a little bit of time with Lake Elsinore. Then 2017 with the Cubs. 2018 split between the Diamondbacks and the Royals. 2019 with the White Sox, and some time in Birmingham and Charlotte. 2019 was the White Sox, that's what I just said. 2020, during the COVID year, he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks for 18 games. And then 2021, 5 games with the Angels, 18 with Salt Lake. Apparently retired after that. Did not play after his age 36 season in 2021. Any guesses so far?
This is somebody I should definitely know.
What was the major league history again? It was
mostly
the Cardinals.
Mostly with the Cardinals. And then it was the Padres in 2016, the Cubs in 2017, the Diamondbacks and Royals in 2018, the White Sox in 2019, back with the D-backs for the COVID year in 2020, and then 2021, only 5 games with the Angels. He won a 2011 World Series with the Cardinals, which would have been his second year in Major League Ball. In that 2011 World Series, he got in 19 plate appearances, didn't perform great, was 2 for 18, but did a little bit better earlier in those playoffs. Got back to the World Series, obviously, with the Cardinals in 2013. But yeah, most of his time was with the Cardinals. 6 years with the Cardinals, 2 years with the D-backs, and then 1 year with everybody else. He was an outfielder.
This one's tough. I give it like a random Cardinals prospect, or former prospect. I'm thinking like Colby Rasmus. It's not Colby Rasmus. I remember he was a high school pick.
No.
Who else was on those teams? Skip Schumacher. He's not a Miami guy.
Nope. You're thinking along the right lines here, though.
Albert Pujols.
We all remember Albert Pujols' time in Arizona quite fondly, yes. There are 2 more hints I can give here. If you guys want one more crack at it.
I'm drawing blanks, yeah.
He was an outfielder.
He was an outfielder.
Man, this is a tough one.
Mostly center field earlier in his career, and then, as one might predict, started to move to the corners more later in his career. All right. The next tip I will give is that he is currently a Cardinals coach. He's an outfield base running and quality control coach. Don't know if you guys are up on your Cardinals coaching staff, but he is currently a coach with the Cardinals.
Is this is this John Jay?
It is John Jay, Tyler.
Jay.
I was struggling with that one. I saw him play a rehab
That was
game
tough, man. I did not remember that John Jay was a Miami guy.
Yep, John Jay. The reason I bring him up is because I saw a video of him this morning. They mic'd him up for Cardinals opening day. And the Cardinals are one of the great clubs to do opening day celebrations. They have the Clydesdales, obviously, from Budweiser. Guys are entering in trucks that go, or cars at least, that go around the warning track. It seems very cool. So I think he was nudging JJ Weatherholt a little bit of like, what's your wave going to be like to the crowd, which was very funny. So it was neat to see. And obviously, since he's been around the organization for so long, they also had Cardinals Hall of Famers Willie McGee, Mark McGuire there, and he's saying hi to everybody. It was a really well done video.
That's cool.
My next hint was going to be his nicknames on Baseball Reference, which are the Federalist, because John Jay.
The Federal. I'm sure he got that a lot in his playing
players
career.
really like.
That'll bring up the
yeah,
Federalist, John
We'll
Jay.
bring the Federalist.
He walks into
apparently
a clubhouse. Hey, it's the
It was
Federalist.
also on his Wikipedia.
Good to see
So
you.
take that for whatever it's worth. And the other one, which actually probably wouldn't have been much help, is 305J, which 305 is the area code for Miami.
For Miami, yeah. I only know
which
that
would have
because
just
of the
been building on
Marlins
the-
hats. So I guess that
I always call
they
him
accomplished
Jingleheimer,
something there.
like John Jacob Jingleheimer.
I'm sure you were doing that often as you were watching Cardinals
I
games.
was like, here comes Jingleheimer.
There's a John Jay College in New York, correct?
There is.
It's like a law school, right?
Correct.
Or they have a law school. I don't know. Okay, John Jay. Small
John Jay,
guy,
this
right?
week's pick for that dude.
John
5'11".
Jay, he was 5'11", really? Wow. I would not have
5'11" in the pre-ABS era, which we should always denote now. Like, there were not independent measurers or doctors who were trying to figure out exactly how tall everybody is. And it seems like anybody who's 5'11" or 6 feet has been downgraded to about 5'9" since ABS has taken hold this year. But officially listed at 5'11". So take that for what it's worth.
John Jay, one of those guys who I'm looking at his Baseball Reference page now, and it's like, man, he's been out of the game for a while. One of those old guys working in the front office. He's part of this. He's 3 months older than me. Womp, womp. Happy birthday to John Jay. He just had his 41st birthday last month. That was a good one. Good work, Sam. As we salute John Jay, the Federalist himself. And we get set to say goodbye for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Again, feel free to get in touch with us, podcast at MILB.com. We're always so excited to hear from you. And that'll do it for Sam Dykstra, for Benjamin Hill, and for all the rest. My name is Tyler Mon. We'll catch you next week.